Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. The future is now, flexible working is here to stay. Now I'd like to introduce two experts that will be taking you through today's presentation. From Condeco we have Shane Dowler. We also have a speaker from Relogix. Sandra Panara is their Director of Workspace Insights. Over to you, Shane.
Perfect. Well, thank you for having me. And Sandra, thank you for joining. So I think as people go back to the office, and these are the kind of conversations we're having, offices are going to change dramatically, right? You could just, it's not just about rearranging the furniture and making sure there's a safe distance. It's about what are you going to do with the offices? So it's going to be a place to meet, collaborate, where you're going to work on a project with a team, or you're maybe going to meet a client at the office, kind of one great space.
We're seeing or hearing more and more the offices is becoming more of a destination. So either for meetings or becoming that flagship location to really support the brand and the culture that would support customers and the employee experiences when they visit.
I think now that the employees have kind of proven themselves, it's about giving them choice when you open these offices back up. Typically, when we would talk to clients about how are we going to manage our workstations going forward, right? Because things are going to be different when you go back to the office. So we really need to educate people ahead of time of, alleviate their concerns, let them know what you're doing for safety reasons, let them know maybe they're not going to have a dedicated desk anymore. They got to get rid of their items off the desk. It's not a punishment, but you're also providing them with a lot more tools to be productive to work from anywhere. So I really think it's about education.
I think the whole idea of alignment of space is really interesting. We've seen from our data that there has been a significant misalignment between, as I was mentioning before, how people use space and really what the requirements are. So when we think about it from that perspective, is COVID has really pushed sort of this whole idea, front and center, but it creates that opportunity to really fix it. And I think the key is really around, the changed expectations and the changed mindset. Because I think the behaviors were there before. It's just now been elevated more so than it ever has been in the past. Think about the experiences of COVID and how, the Zoom meetings and all that sort of gives us insight into people's personal lives. I think a lot of the experiences of being on Zoom has just made us all more real. And so, you don't have this facade of having to, wear the shirt and tie or the dress or whatever the case might be. And I think it can certainly be a lot more relaxed because of the fact that we're working from home. Will that adapt into the workplace? Potentially. It really comes down to, again, what is the purpose of the workplace? If you're interacting with customers and you're customer facing, then, there may be a requirement to be a little bit more formal, but if it's just to interact with coworkers, then maybe not as much.
And again, it's kind of making sure you assign the right tools to the employees. Another stat we looked at, it said 56% of the people said they would expect to work from home at least 2 to 3 days per week after lockdown. And I just found out yesterday or the day before that our kids will not be going back to school till at least after the fall. So now these organizations have to think about their employees. How are they going to manage their kids? Are they going to start bringing about daycares at the office, which I've seen before? But you have to, as long as your employees are being productive, let them do what they need to do and get the job done. Yeah, I think communication really helps build that trust. Show them what you've done, why have you implemented these solutions. It really goes a long way to help with that sense of angst that they're afraid to go into the office. And you're going to say, we're going to limit this to 20% phase one, 40% here. Here's how we're doing it. Here's the data to prove it. It really does help with the employee morale of going back into the office. So enabling the flexible workforce. And I think you nailed it just a couple of minutes ago. It's about giving them the choice, but it's about the data behind the scenes, right? Adjusting quickly based on what you're learning. Are we finding out that people are using this type of space? They're only coming to the office just because they ought to have a conference room and they need a one-touch start to make them productive. Those are the type of things that you just have to be able to adapt quickly And without having a type of solution in place, I don't think an Excel spreadsheet can be able to give you the data so that your employees can be productive, right? You're not just bringing the employees in the office just because you want them there. You want to make sure that they're doing their jobs and they can do it well.
Yeah, and I would add to this that the insights that come from the analytics from the data really helps with the change management, because you can quickly identify who your change champions are and, you know, align yourself with the desired behaviors to kind of build that momentum, which makes the whole change management exercise a little bit more palatable.